Hello, friends. How are you? I hope your preparation is going well. This is a polity topic and a very important topic. And without wasting time, let's jump into the topic. So, how the election of president happens? What is the process or procedure given in the constitution with respect to the election of the president? Right? Election of president is a bit different from the election of MPs and MLAs. That is why it becomes difficult to understand. I have seen many aspirants who are confused, even those who have given 4 or 5 attempts, they are not sure what exactly does this mean or how exactly this is achieved. So let us understand this one by one. Now, the article that deals with the election of president is Article 55. Okay. And Article 55 clearly gives the complete procedure for election of the president. And it talks about many things. But for this video, four things are very important. First thing is that the process which must be used for election of president, right? Normally, for election of MPs and MLAs, we use a different process called first past the post system, FPTP, right? But for president's election, it is given that proportional representation system with single transferable vote method must be used. Now, some of you may know what is proportional representation system, right? But it must be clubbed with single transferable vote. Okay, now what is single transferable vote? We will understand using examples of 2022 presidential election, right? Now, second important thing given in Article 55 is the president must be elected with absolute majority. Absolute majority means anyone who is finally elected as president should have received more than 50% of the total votes polled. Now, these two things are what which make the president's election different from first past the post system. I will explain how in future part of the video. Next is Article 55 also gives the formula that must be used for calculating values of votes of MLAs and MPs. How that is calculated, what is the formula, we will see. Next, lastly, the Article 55 says that the election of the president must be held in accordance with secret ballot. What is the meaning of secret ballot? It's very simple. For example, if you're an MLA, if you are voting, then you cannot show who you are voting to any person. Any. You cannot show it to any person. So that is the meaning of secret ballot. There are many elections which do not use secret ballot. For example, you must have seen the Rajya Sabha election. The election to Rajya Sabha is not held in accordance with secret ballot. That is why an MLA who is voting for Rajya Sabha election must show his voting slip to the chief whip appointed by the political party. Right? This is one of the meanings of secret ballot. What is the next meaning of secret ballot? And this is important because this can be asked in UPSC exams. Is that whenever there is a secret ballot, provisions of 10th schedule do not apply. What does 10th schedule deal with? Please write in the comments. So, for example, in Rajya Sabha election, there is no secret ballot, so provisions of 10th schedule will apply. But for election of president, provisions of 10th schedule will not apply. This is the meaning of secret ballot, right? Can you give me an example of another election apart from president's election where secret ballot is held? Yes, please write that also in comment. Now, let us start with the first part of the video, and that is how the value of vote of MLAs and MPs is calculated, right? Now, the Article 55 gives the formula for doing this. And how that is done is there are two factors upon which vote of an MLA depends. Let us first understand about the value of vote of MLA, and then I will talk about value of vote of MP, right? So what are those two factors on which the value of vote of an MLA depends? The first factor is population of that state. For example, if there is an MLA from Maharashtra, then the value of his vote will depend on what is the population of Maharashtra state. Second factor upon which the value of an vote of an MLA depends is total number of MLAs or total strength of the assembly. For example, in Maharashtra, whatever the total strength of the assembly, that also determines the value of an MLA. So if there is a question which asks you what are the factors which dictate the value of vote of an MLA, so these are the two factors: population of state, total number of MLAs. Not present, not voting, total strength I'm talking about. What is the total strength of assembly of that state? For example, the total strength of assembly of UP is 403. Even if some members are absent, doesn't matter. The value of vote of an MLA of UP depends on the total strength of the assembly of UP, right? Now, in this also, there are two factors that you need to understand and remember. Now, when we say population of state is determining the vote of an MLA or the value of vote of an MLA, what population or population of which year is taken? So the constitution is very clear about this, and the population which is taken for calculating the vote of an MLA is the population which was present in 1971, not the population of 2023 or whenever the election is happening. The population which was present in that state in 1971, this population is taken, and there are many reasons for that. That requires another video. Okay. So the population of 1971 is used, right? But which year's assembly strength is used? It is current. What is the current strength of the assembly that is used? For example, the current strength of assembly in UP is 403. So that is used. Now, this is the formula used for calculating vote of an MLA, right? Now, after doing this, this result is divided by 1000. Now, why this result is divided by 1000, I will tell you in future part of the video. I hope you understood the formula used for the calculation of value of vote of an MLA. One important question was asked in UPSC prelims. And what is that question? Let us understand. With reference to the election of the President of India, consider the following statements. The value of vote of each MLA varies from state to state. Now tell me the formula that I just told you. What is that formula? Population of state divided by total strength of assembly, number of MLAs. Now tell me whether the population of each state is same or different. Different, right? Now the strength of assembly of each state is same or different. Different. So MLA strength is also different. So if both are different, can the value of every MLA in every state be same? No, because this the value of vote of an MLA depends on population, which is different in every state, and the strength of assembly, which is also different in every state. For example, I just told you UP has 403 MLAs, but Nagaland has just 60 MLAs. So these two factors determine the value of vote of an MLA. If these two factors are different in every state, then how can value of vote of an MLA is same, right? It must be different. So this statement becomes correct. The value of vote of each MLA varies from state to state. The second part of this question says the value of vote of MPs of the Lok Sabha is more than the value of vote of MPs of the Rajya Sabha. I will tell you the answer to this after completing the video. So I hope you understood how the value of vote of each MLA is calculated. Now let us move to the next part of the video. That is why this result that we just obtained is divided by 1000. Let us take the example of Uttar Pradesh. The total population of Uttar Pradesh in 1971 was this much. Okay. And the total strength of assembly today is 403. So if we divide the total population in 1971 with current strength of assembly, the result that we get is 2,08,064. And this is the value of one MLA. If we don't divide it with 1000, then this shall be the value, right? This is the value of one MLA. And we have to calculate the value of all the MLAs in UP, which is 403. And then we have to calculate the value of all the MLAs of all the states, including the union territories of Delhi and Puducherry. The result will be humongous. The result will be so big that it becomes difficult to keep track of the number, right? So this result is divided by 1000. That is, this result is divided by 1000 for only reason to make it simple, to simplify. That is the only reason why this quotient. देखो आर्टिकल 55 के अंदर बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट वर्डिंग यूज हुआ है कि इसको जो है क्वोशंट ऑफ 1000 से डिवाइड करेंगे ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला. डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट. बेसिकली दिस formula is divided by 1000 for only reason that in order to simplify the calculation of the value of vote of all the MLAs of all the states. कितना होता है? For example, tell me whether this is simple or 208 is simple. 208 is simple, right? So that is why we divide the result by 1000. Got it? So this is how the value of each MLA's vote of UP is calculated. Population of 1971, current strength of assembly. This is the result, and then divide that result with 1000, right? And 208. So value of vote of each MLA of UP is 208. Now, after calculating the value of vote of each MLA of UP, we can easily calculate what is the value of vote of all the MLAs of UP. How many MLAs are there in UP? 403. So we have to just multiply 208 with 403. When we multiply 208, that is the value of one MLA of UP with the strength of assembly of UP, that is all the MLAs, then the result is 83,824. So this is the value of all the MLAs of UP. This is how the value of MLAs of all the states is calculated. Now, after calculating the value of MLAs of one state, it is time to calculate the values of MLAs of all the states, right? Now, let us see how that is done. We are taking example of 2022 presidential election. Now, who won in 2022 presidential election? Draupadi Murmuji, right? She is the current president of India, right? And how she was elected. Let us understand with the help of that and understand the process, right? For example, I just told you that the value of all the MLAs of UP is 83,824, and this is the value of one MLA of UP, right? Similarly, the value of all the MLAs of Andhra Pradesh is calculated. It is 87,825. The value of one MLA of Andhra Pradesh is 159. Gujarat 26,754. Value of one MLA of Gujarat is 147. So we use the same formula and same method to calculate the value of all the MLAs of all the states, including the union territories of Delhi and Puducherry, right? So this is done. And after doing that, we have to add all the values of all the MLAs of all the states, right? And when we do that, this is the grand total. When we calculate the values of all the MLAs of all the states, then it comes to be 5,43,231. This is the value of all the MLAs of all the states, including the UTs of Delhi and Puducherry. So, in 2022 election of President of India, what was the total value of all the MLAs of all the states? 5,43,231. Now let us understand how the value of vote of each MP and all the MPs is calculated. Now again we will take 2022 example. As I told you, Constitution under Article 55 already gives the formula for calculating the value of vote of MPs, right? Now, what is the formula? Formula is very simple. Value of votes of all MLAs. We just calculated value of votes of all the MLAs and it came to be 5,43,231, right? Divide this with total MPs. Here we take only elected MPs. Nominated हम नहीं पकड़ते हैं because nominated MPs do not take part in the election of the president. Similarly, nominated MLAs also do not take part in the election of president, and MLCs do not take part in election of the president, right? Now, how many MPs are there? Total strength of Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha, if we exclude the nominated, 776, right? 543 in Lok Sabha, 2 are nominated, that is Anglo-Indians, but this has now been removed, right? 233 in Rajya Sabha. So total elected MPs in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha included are 776. So when we divide the value of votes of all MLAs with total elected MPs of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, then the value of each MP is 700. So this is the value of each MP. Both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there is no difference in the value of the MP of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Both have same value, that is 700. Now let us go back to the MCQ that we just discussed. What is the second part of this MCQ or the PYQ says? It says that the value of the vote of MPs of the Lok Sabha is more than the value of the vote of MPs of the Rajya Sabha. What did I just show you? It is incorrect. Why? Because the value of the vote of MP of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha is same. Both have 700 value. It is not different. Hence, first statement is correct, second statement is wrong, and the answer is only one because it is asking which of these are correct. Only one is the answer. Now, after calculating value of vote of each MP, it is simple to calculate the value of vote of all the MPs. 700 is value of vote of each MP. Total elected MPs in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are 776. Now just multiply both these, 700 into 776, we get 5,43,200. So this is the value of vote of all the MPs. Got it? Very simple. We found the value of vote of all the MLAs. It is 5,43,231, and value of vote of all the MPs is 5,43,200. Add both, you get value of all the electors, because MLAs and MPs are electors for the election of president. So that will be the value of vote of all the electors. We just have to add them. So total value. So what was the total value of votes of all the electors in 2022 presidential election? 5,43,231 is the value of vote of all the MLAs. 5,43,200 is the value of vote of all the MPs. 10,86,431 is the value of vote of all the electors. And how many total electors are there currently? There are 4,033 MLAs are there and 776 MPs are there. So totally 4,809 electors. Now the next part of the video is how many votes winning candidate must secure. If somebody has to be elected president of India, what should be the percentage of votes that person must secure, right? But before understanding that, let me first tell you how the first past the post system works. This method is used for the election of members of parliament, members of legislative assembly, as well as members of local bodies, right? Now, how this system works, let us understand with the help of an example. There is an MP election, and there are 5 people in a constituency who are fighting MP election, right? And let's say person A secured 30% of votes. Person B secured 10% of votes. Person C secured 15% of votes. Now person D secured 35% of votes and person E secured 10% of votes. So this is 100% of the valid votes polled, right? Now, according to first past the post system, person D, who has secured maximum percent of votes amongst these candidates, is the winner and he shall be the MP of this constituency. Now tell me one thing, does this percent represent the majority of population in this constituency? No. Only 35% of the voters have said that he should be the MP of our constituency. So this is what the first past the post system says. But election of president is different. President is not just an MP. President is going to represent entire nation, right? If we use the same process of first past the post system for the election of president, then that should be, or that becomes unfair, because then president will be someone who will represent just a fraction of the population of the country, right? So in order to avoid this kind of problem which happens in first past the post system, any person who would like to become president of India must achieve 50% plus votes. If anyone who is not achieving 50% plus votes shall not be the president of India, right? There is a formula given to calculate 50% votes, plus there is a method given to make sure that anyone who becomes president achieves more than 50% of the votes, and that method is called as single transferable vote system. That is what we are going to understand in the next part of the video. Constitution under Article 55 makes sure that any person who becomes president of India achieves majority of votes, and majority of vote means 50% plus votes, right? Now, how many votes is equal to 50% plus votes? To calculate that, we use a formula, and that formula is this, and this formula gives us 50% plus votes that are required to become president of India. And this 50% plus votes which are required is called as quota. Quota means anyone who would like to be the president of India must achieve at least this much votes. Then only one can become the president of India. And what is the formula? Total valid votes. How many valid votes are there, or what is the total strength of votes? 10,86,431 we just calculated, right? This is the value of votes of all the MLAs and MPs. Now we divide this by total seats. Finally, how many people will become president of India? Only one, right? So only one seat is there to be filled. So one. We add one more to this. Now, why do we add one more to this? This is where many people get confused. We add one more to this to make sure that this is being divided by 2. Only when we divide this total value by 2, then only we get 50%, right? Anything which is divided by 2 becomes 50% of that, right? Then this whole result is added 1. Why this extra 1 is being added to this result? Because we want to make sure that anyone who becomes the president of India achieves 50% plus votes, more than 50%, and that is the meaning of absolute majority. So if we add one more vote to the 50% votes, then it becomes absolute majority. That is why one extra is added to the 50% to make sure that the person is getting absolute majority. And what is that total value of votes which makes it absolute majority? Divide this by 2, add 1, and it becomes 5,43,217. So any person who would like to become the president of India must achieve at least 5,43,217 votes. Draupadi Murmu ji, who became president in 2022, achieved 64% of vote share. So this makes sure that she is representing maximum population of India, right? Though indirectly, but at least she is representing 64% of the population. This kind of result is not possible in first past the post system, because there even a person who has achieved 30% of vote share, if this is the maximum vote share anyone has achieved in that constituency, then that person is elected as MP or MLA. So this is the beauty of this formula or quota, which is used for the election of the president of India. Now, in the next process of the election of the president, let us understand what is single transferable vote. For every MLA and MP, a slip is given. And that slip contains two things. One, on the left side of the slip, there will be names of candidates who are fighting for President of India's election, A, B, and C. On the right side, space is given for the MLA or MP to mention his or her preferences, right? For example, let's say this MLA X from certain state in India is filling up his vote preferences. Now, this MLA would like B to become the president. So first preference of this MLA is B. And this MLA is saying, if B cannot become the president, let's say B cannot get 50% plus votes, then this MLA would like C to become president. So he's exercising two choices. But he's saying, if C cannot become the president, now his choice is A. Finally, I would like A to become the president. Right? So these are the preferences which are given by the MLAs or MPs in the slip which is given to them. Right? Now, one thing you need to remember is that it is not compulsory for MLA or MP to fill all the preferences. An MLA or MP can simply say, I would like B to become the president, and that is the first preference, and that's it. This can be kept empty. Okay, but one can fill all the three preferences also, right? Now, these three preferences which are filled, these will be used by the election commission to exercise single transferable vote. This is the meaning of single transferable vote. A single slip is given to an MLA or MP, and in that slip, an MLA or MP is indicating the transfer of vote choice, meaning this MLA is saying, first give my vote to B. If B doesn't win, then transfer my vote to C. And if C also doesn't win, then transfer my vote to A. Now, how this transfer of vote happens and how this single transferable vote system works, let us understand in the next part of the video. Now let us understand with the help of example how this single transferable vote system is set in motion and how finally the president of India is elected. Okay, so here are three slips of three different MLAs from three different states. Let us understand what they are saying. An MLA of Gujarat has voted, and according to the MLA of Gujarat, his first preference should be Draupadi Murmuji. If Draupadi Murmuji doesn't win, then he is saying his vote must be transferred then to Muhammad Ali. That is his second preference. If Muhammad Ali also doesn't win, then Gujarat MLA is indicating his preference and saying that then his vote must be transferred to Yashwant Sinha. Right? Now, before going ahead, let me tell you one important thing. What happens in first past the post system? I just told you, if you have voted to A, but A did not get the majority, B got the majority, then your vote is lost. But in President of India's election, it doesn't happen like that. For example, the MLA of Gujarat is saying, if Draupadi Murmu ji wins, then fine. If Draupadi Murmu ji doesn't win, then please transfer my vote to Muhammad Ali. That is my second preference. But that is not the case in first past the post system. In first past the post system, if you voted for X candidate and X did not get the majority, then your vote is gone. If Y wins, then you have not voted for Y. But here, if Muhammad Ali wins, then MLA of Gujarat has already voted for Muhammad Ali also, because that was his second preference. So this is one of the meanings of transfer of vote. Similarly, MLA of Andhra Pradesh is giving his preferences. He is saying, my first preference is Muhammad Ali. And if Muhammad Ali doesn't become the president, please transfer my vote to Draupadi Murmuji. That is my second preference. And if Draupadi Murmuji also doesn't win, then my third preference is Yashwant Sinhaji. Right? Madhya Pradesh MLA is saying, my first preference is Muhammad Ali, second preference is Yashwant Sinhaji, third preference is Murmuji, right? Now, what happens is that in the first round, the Election Commission of India, because these preferences are taken by Election Commission of India, and in the first stage, Election Commission of India only counts first preference votes of each candidate. Okay, they will see how many first preference votes each of the candidates have received. For example, in this, Draupadi Murmuji has received one first preference vote. Muhammad Ali has received two first preference votes, right? So they will, and Yashwant Sinha ji has not received any first preference votes. So his first preference vote share is 0%. So this is what the first stage of counting is. That is calculating the first preference votes of each candidate. Let us say that in the first preference vote counting, that is the stage 1, Draupadi Murmuji received 40% of vote share, and Yashwant Sinhaji received 35% of vote share, and Muhammad Ali received 25% of vote share. So this was their standing after the first stage counting, which counts only the first preference votes. And this is the first preference votes of all the MLAs and MPs, right? Now tell me one thing, has any of these candidates won or become the president of India? Not yet, right? Why? Because the constitution says that any person who is president of India must have secured absolute majority of votes, that is 50% plus 1. But nobody has received 50% votes plus 1, right? Now, in this case, the second round is set in motion. Now, in the second round, what is the first thing that is done? And that is called as elimination. Now, let us understand what is this elimination and what happens after that. Now, tell me, amongst these three candidates, who has received the least number of first preference votes? And that is Muhammad Ali. Only 25% of electors are saying Muhammad Ali should be the president, and only 25% of the electorate is having Muhammad Ali as their first preference, right? So in the round 2, the person who has got least number of first preference votes is eliminated. He is removed from the race. But as I told you in the previous part of the video, the people who voted Muhammad Ali as their first preference must have also exercised who should be their second and third preference, right? Now, as I told you, their vote doesn't go waste, because if their first preference choice doesn't become the president of India, then their second preference choices are taken into account. And that is what is done in round 2. And this is called as transfer of vote. And that is why it is called as single transferable vote. Now, what happens in stage 2? Amongst the electors who had put Muhammad Ali as their first preference, let us say amongst them, if 15% had put Murmuji as their second preference and 10% had put Sinhaji as their second preference, now these second preference votes of the electors of Muhammad Ali will be transferred to the respective candidates. This is called as transfer of votes. Now, this candidate is eliminated. His slips, in which people had mentioned him to be the first preference, are taken, and his second preference, their second preference votes are counted now. And as I told you, for example, if 15% of them has indicated Murmuji as their second preference and 10% indicated Sinhaji as their second preference, then this 15% vote share is added to the vote share of Murmuji. Now, Draupadi Murmuji in the first stage has secured 40% of vote share. Now, in Muhammad Ali's slips, she has secured 15% vote share as second preference votes. So 15% is added here, and Sinhaji will get 10% as second preference vote shares. Now we have a winner, right? Because 40% plus 15% is 55%, which is more than the absolute majority required by the constitution, and Draupadi Murmuji wins. We don't go for third round, right? Because she has already achieved 55% of the vote share. And this happened because of single transferable voting system. What it made sure? It made sure that the votes of even those candidates who had mentioned someone as their first preference who could not eventually win do not get lost, because their votes get transferred to the second preference votes of Murmuji and Sinha. And next important thing, it made sure that the final winner has achieved more than 50% vote share, and she is going to represent majority of the population of India. So this is what single transferable voting system means, and this is how transfer of vote happens, and this is how the last candidate is eliminated and his slips are taken into account to transfer second preference votes to these remaining candidates. I hope you have understood. I hope I have made it clear and simple to understand. If there are any doubts, then obviously there is comment section. You can comment there. But if you want any more clarification, then I have provided a link to my Telegram channel in the description below. Please join that and ask any of your questions related to any subjects. Now, before you ask any questions, I have some questions for you. So please find out the answers to these questions and put them in comment section or in my Telegram channel. And what are those questions? First, you need to find out who is the returning officer for the election of the president. Right? For the election of MP and MLA, there is a returning officer. Similarly, who is the returning officer for the election of the president? How many proposers and seconders are required for nomination of any candidate as president of India? Should an elector mark preferences for all candidates? इसका आंसर तो मैंने अभी बता दिया है, राइट? डज द एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ अप्लीकेबल? इसका भी आंसर मैंने बता दिया है. चलो आप बताओ क्या है इसका आंसर. इज वोटिंग बाय प्रॉक्सी अलाउड? These questions are concerned with the election of the president of India. So is voting by proxy allowed? Is nota applicable in the election of president? Is there postal ballot system? Which census population is taken for the calculation of value of votes for the election of the president? I have already given the answer to this. Do UTs other than the UTs of Delhi and Puducherry? मैंने तो बता दिया कि Delhi and Puducherry participate in the election of the president. But what about the other UTs? Do they participate in the election of the president? Please write in the comment section below. So I hope you have understood, and thanks for watching the video. And please like, share, subscribe, and enjoy the video. So until the next video, study well and take care.